right. Everyone just got seated so nicely and everything. It's unlike some of the other chamber programs where you find yourself constantly telling people, we're getting ready to start. We're getting ready to start. Please sit down. But thank you all for coming out this morning. I'm Leonardo McClarty. I'm president of the chamber, and I'd like to welcome you to our Ypn Celerate program. And always excited to see new faces, familiar faces, even faces that we haven't seen outside of a square box in a while. And so excited to be here back in person with a lot of our events. And I think we've got a great topic today in terms of conquering your bucket list and career goals. For those that are new to Ypn, in particular this program, so Ypn really sets out to do three things. It's really about professional development, personal growth, as well as community involvement. And so if you had an opportunity to attend the mixer last week, you had an opportunity to see that in action. So you had the networking going on, again, where people were being able to meet new folks, get reacquainted with others. But then you also saw the contributions as it relates to people bringing in cereal and oatmeal and granola bars and so forth to go towards the food pantry at Howard Community College. So again, there's that component again of really wanting to get people engaged in the community as well, and doing it perhaps while you may be younger in your career, so that it's kind of instilled, ingrained, and a part of who you are professionally. So even as you continue to ascend, whether that's a corporate ladder or go into business for yourself, it's a part of who you are to ultimately give back and to be engaged in the community wherever you're, operating and so forth. So with that, I want to thank all of you for coming, and I'm going to get ready to turn things over to is it Zach or Mark? Who am I first? To Zachary for his comments, and then also just quickly I'll say grab some information on other upcoming events, and specifically for this group, I will say the Ypn Summit is being planned right now. And so if you are interested in sponsorships or exhibiting, certainly see any one of the Ypn board members here or Taylor or what have you. Certainly will be a great day for being able to market and promote your business services. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Zachary Cox.
Well, thank you all for being here. It's really wonderful to see a room full of people in person, and especially so early. So thank you for coming to this. Now, I'm the chair, which is the volunteer coordinator for the Celerate committee, which puts on about 4 of these events per year. And we have several members from the committee in the room as well. So if you don't mind raising your hands if you're on that committee. Kelsey, Mark, Taylor, thank you. And Jackie, yes, yeah. Yes. So if you are interested in helping us put together these types of events, come find one of those people, or just come talk to me after the event. And it'd be really great to sort of tell you more about what it's like to put these together and get you involved in that committee if you're interested. As far as this morning goes, we were really excited about this topic because I don't know about you, but as a young professional, I'm always trying to figure out how to do well personally and professionally at the same time. Kind of feels like a juggling act. So we have today 2 panelists who Mark will introduce. Mark is a fantastic young professional. He was actually the Young Professional of the Year, I believe. Was it last year? Yes. Yeah. So Mark is your moderator. Really excited to have him run this discussion. We actually thought about putting him on the panel because he's just killing it personally and professionally. But we figured he would help guide that conversation and contribute at the same time. In addition to that, Mark works for Tower Federal Credit Union, as he has for several years. He is based out of Howard County here. And in terms of the fun things about him, he also has, is it a 2-year-old now? 3-year-old. So again, in terms of personal life and professional life, I don't have kids yet. I'm looking to people like Mark to figure out how to do this well. All right, so with that, Mark, thank you so much for moderating.
Thanks, Zachary. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm just going to project. So if you can't hear me, there's something wrong and we need to get that appointment in. So my name is Mark Cruz again. I appreciate you guys for coming. It's so nice, like Zachary said, see people in person. I know we've been hosting some of these celebrations in the past at Zoom. It just feels much better in person, in my opinion. So I appreciate it. Today's topic is obviously about conquering your bucket list and career goals. I encourage you, I have questions in mind, but I encourage you throughout the session, please ask yours. We've come up with 2 people, and I can answer some myself, who think some of the ways that we've done things and some of the career achievements we've done will help you in your future. But without further ado, I would like to first introduce our panelists. Ladies first, since it was Happy Belated International Women's Day. Ms. Kimberly, would you mind introducing yourself and talking about you and your company?
Sure. So hopefully you can hear me. I'm Kimberly Prescott. I am the founder and president of Prescott HR. We are an outsourced human resources firm. We're based here in Columbia, Maryland. The business is 6 years old, and we help businesses that have about 100 employees or fewer with their HR needs. So we're not staffing, we're not recruiting. We are the actual HR department for those companies. I have 13 people on my team, which is fun and exciting. And we just moved into a new office space in Simpson Woods.
If you want to go to her ribbon cutting, it is
March 30th.
March 30th.
Yes.
So that's a little cross promo. Sorry.
Yes.
All right. Next up, DJ. Would you like to talk about you?
Absolutely. My name is DJ Brown. I am one of the co-founders and the president of Data Solutions. We are a cloud integration sustainment company, and we do software engineering for big data platforms. We mostly operate in the IC community, but we are looking to branch out into the commercial industry as well. At this time, we are about 4 people. We're small, but we have another 4 people at this time that we're trying to staff. And we've been doing this for about 2 to 3 years. We've been in the industry for a long time, but as company owners, it's only been a couple of years.
Excellent. Wait here, not awkwardly. So the reason in the committee what came up with this is obviously the elephant in the room is called the Great Resignation. A lot of personal people that I know, people that we've interacted with, they wanted to align what they were passionate about and also achieve what they were trying to look for in their careers. And I wanted to ask you, A, what do you think about this Great Resignation, and what do you think about the people who are saying, hey, I want to do something else, and I want to do this in my life. And DJ, we were talking about this, how people do not want to come back into the office because it's remote, and some people got used to that and they don't want it to come back. So I don't know how you guys want to take that. So DJ, go ahead.
So I don't think that's a straight. I think it's a complicated answer, right? It's obviously exists no matter where you go, whether you're at an auto mechanic shop or a retail store. You see help wanted, and so everybody's looking to hire, and I think everybody is having a difficult time hiring. That's definitely something we're experiencing as well. Again, my personal belief and feeling is that when the pandemic started, folks were scared. Folks didn't know what to expect and what to do. They were constantly being bombarded from media sources with information that we weren't sure if it was underreported or over-exaggerated. What was real? What wasn't? And I think it caused 2 things in the industry, or in employers in general, or for employees. I think the first thing was that folks looked around and looked at their employers and thought, does this company, does this individual, do they really care about me and my family, what's important to us and my health? And I think that was a question question that everybody asks themselves. And then the second thing was, I think it caused kind of a realignment and a shift of values. Folks ask themselves, do I really need to buy that new car? Or do I, really need to, I don't know, get a vacation property, things of that nature. And I think if the answer was no to either of those things, no, I don't feel that my employer has my best interest and my health, my family's health at mind, and I don't need those things. I think they decided to make a decision. My family, my loved ones are more important than that. And so I could possibly get by with less.
Yeah, and I also think, to DJ's point, people did take a step back and assess what was important to them. I know that it's been called the Great Resignation, all of these things, but the reality is that the bulk of the people who actually left the workforce are over 50. So everyone else is still in the workforce, they're just doing something else, right? So I think that it's important to note that because the workforce is still, the people are still there, they're just doing something else. I think it's important when you think about realignment and thinking about what's important to you, it's also important to be realistic. So, the pandemic definitely caused people to have to work remotely, shift how they think about how work gets done. And some of that has shifted how work is going to get done permanently. But I think it's important that we set expectations that 100% remote at every job that you go to into perpetuity is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, the fact that we're in here today, we walked into this building, we didn't have a mask on, I promise you, people going back into the office. Now, what's going to happen is that there's probably going to be more of a shift to hybrid, more of a shift to, we only all have to be in the office 1 or 2 days a week so that we can huddle and get the things done that we need to get done. And then the other days you can decide if you want to work remotely or determine how you want to do that. But I think that it's just really important to think about what is important to you, what are your non-negotiables, and what are the things that you really want to get out of an opportunity and be realistic about it. I own my own company and I know I gotta go into the office and get work done. I know that because I know I'm not gonna be able to achieve the things that I want to achieve at Disneyland. I'm not. I want to, but I'm not. So it's really about thinking about that balance, what you want, and then being realistic about it.
And when you guys first entered the workforce, so did you feel like it was aligned in the beginning with what you personally wanted to do in terms of your goals and values? If not, how was that gap closed?
I'm a Gen Xer, and so the only goal I had was for my parents not to tell me to go get a job. So that was the only goal I had. Honestly, I've worked since I was 15. So I've always had a job. I didn't have the luxury of not being able to work. So the only goal that I had was to get a paycheck and make more money. And being an Xer and being the child of 2 boomers, my parents came from a generation where you worked the same job and you just went there every day and you got a clock and maybe your arm got caught in the machine and you lost it. That's okay. Go back to work. That's where they came from, right? And so when I left, I was like, well, as long as they have 401k, I can leave here in 2 years and get a 10% increase. I can leave here again in 2 years and get a 10% increase. But my parents did not understand that. My goal was to make more money and go up the chain as fast as possible. That was initially my goal. But after I had my daughter, that's when I realized that, okay, this is really not what I want. This is not in alignment with what I want. I don't want to, because I had a job where I was traveling all over the country. And I was like, I want to be able to make the types of decisions that I want to work to spend time with my child. And there was one moment where I knew I don't want to do this anymore. We had a meeting in downtown Baltimore. It was all day. And it was a beautiful day. And my daughter, her daycare was near BWI. So I remember the meeting was over at 3 o'clock. And I said, I'm going to go pick her up. We're going to go to Observation Park and watch the planes land. So she was about 2. And I remember that my boss told me, she said, well, we're all going down to the bar and kind of, we'll have an opportunity to like mix and mingle. I was like, well, okay, that's great. I've been with them all day. So I was like, okay, that's great. I'm gonna go take my daughter to the park. When I got back to work on Monday, she said, that's how decisions get made, is at the bar. And I remember thinking to myself, I chose to spend an afternoon with my daughter, let her watch the planes land, which was awesome. And so I felt like in that moment, I had to choose between being successful in that organization or spending the type of time that I wanted to spend with my daughter. And it really shifted how I looked at where I wanted to be. I thought I was going to be a CHRO. This was a Fortune 500 company. I was the person I reported to the president of the company. And I just felt like it wasn't important anymore. It wasn't important anymore. So I didn't start with alignment, but I had to make myself align.
DJ? I think what Kimberly said is right on point. And I think that's the way the majority of people do it. You learn as you go through your career. So I was the same way. When I entered the industry, my goal was to do at least as well as my parents had done, if not better. I wanted to provide a life for my family, which I wanted to have in the future. I didn't have at the time, but they didn't have to worry about how things were going to be made for, and at least live comfortably. So when I started, I was very driven, and it was taking classes outside of work hours as well to try to learn new things. I was constantly trying to improve myself with that goal in mind. But over the years, and as we started Data Haven, I started to realize that there comes a time where you have to be able to shut it off. When I would get home, from work, and my daughter wants to build something with Legos or do something, when go ride bikes, well, I still got to make sure time cards are signed off, and I have to do this and that. My family has helped me realize that you need to have that balance. That's you can't get those years back. You can't get those moments back, no matter how successful you are. And you're never going to get ahead of the curve that far where you can say, okay, now I can stop completely. I don't have to do that anymore, and I can only focus on family because you won't have that time.
It's very important because I resonate with you guys about aligning your time and with family. Fortunately, unfortunately, obviously the COVID thing, but I was able to work from home and see my 3-year-old just down the hallway. So it was nice to have that in between. So I completely understand. So when pre-COVID, I guess it was beforehand, like when you want to achieve something personally, like in terms of traveling or going somewhere that you want to do, or just how did you do that, and economics aside and everything like that? How did you place your goal to say, hey, okay, let's just say this, I'm going to go to Aruba. How did you plan yourself in between your work and your personal life to plan this and get it achieved?
So I got married. That's how I did. My wife takes, thank God for her. She does all of that. The vacations. She is constantly on me. When are you going to get this done? When are you going to look at this location or pick this out? She keeps me in check. Absolutely, because we might, and I'm very guilty of this. We might have maybe one vacation every 3 years, and it was just for me to plan. So she definitely helps keep me in check with that. And we've been trying to plan a Disney trip, and it's definitively her keeping me in line with that.
Make sure to get the speed pass.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it has changed, it's very different now when in November. But anybody who knows me knows that I travel all the time. It is a huge priority for me to travel. So literally, we're going somewhere in the end of this month, we're going somewhere in April, we're going somewhere in June, we're going somewhere in July. Like, I love to travel and I make it a priority and I always have. I always take off the week between Christmas and New Year, and I always take off for my daughter's spring break. Non-negotiable, always. And one other thing that if you know me, you know, I have a standing nail appointment at 10 o'clock every other Wednesday. I do not care who calls me. If Michelle Obama calls me and says, girl, I'm in town, I'm like, meeting at 12:30 because I'm there. There are definitely things that I have decided are very important for me, and they're non-negotiable. As far as planning vacation, I literally leave vacation planning the next vacation. I love to plan vacation. I have the travel folder. My husband says I'm a travel monster, but he doesn't understand because he just goes and has the awesome experience. But I really do enjoy the planning part. The planning is very fun for me, and then doing the vacation is fun for me. So I have always prioritized that. In COVID actually was very difficult for me because we didn't get to travel in 2020. We did travel in 2020. But I think it's very important. No matter if it's a big trip or a small trip, even if it's a staycation, to just do something and not necessarily be at home. I found that when I try to do staycations and do them at the house, it's then becomes just washing dishes and, you know, putting away clothes. So even if it's just to go downtown, get a hotel for the weekend and do that, it's still out of the house, not thinking about the things that you have to think about. It's a huge priority for me.
And I think one of the things that I know, me personally, that I don't realize at the time is it's just super go, constantly up until the time that I have vacation. But once we're actually there, I am very good, I believe, at being able to shut it off. And I think that's something that if you're starting your own business, or you have to be able to turn it off. And because you don't realize that is actually giving you some rejuvenation. And I do notice that when I come back from a vacation, I feel rested. I feel mentally able to conquer the challenges that we're going to have. As where, you know, I know up to that time, it just seems repetitive and you feel beaten down until you have that opportunity. But also understand that when you come back from vacation, and I'm sure you can vouch for this, it is a very stressful time because life keeps going, business keeps, you know, revolving as you are away. And so when you come back, the work has piled up, but it's still worth it. I still wouldn't change that. You need that vacation time. You just need to expect when you come back, the workload is going to be a little bit higher for a couple of days.
And two things I'll also say, I always put my upcoming vacation on my signature line. So I let people know like a month in advance. Please note, I am not going to be available. So right now it says March 25th through the 28th, I will be unavailable. I do not take my laptop. I do not take my laptop, and I leave my phone in the safe when we go. Because it's not vacation if I'm working. And I tell people on my team all the time, I didn't go to medical school, so I didn't want to be responsible for life or death. No one is going to die because I'm at school today, right? So at the end of the day, I just make sure that I do not allow that to creep up on me. And I make sure that I am 100% unplugged. I let people know in advance. So if you get an email from me in red, it's going to say, I'm not going to be available. So close out any issues you might need, anything you might need, we close that out before March 24th, because I'm not going to talk to you till 29th. And I feel great about that.
Yeah, setting that boundary is very important. So like, obviously some of these, if you don't get your vacation, you sometimes feel like you're in a rut and you're going through the same routine. How do you push through and just get out of it and to feel that fulfillment, knowing full well you may not have that vacation until a month or two later?
I continue to look forward to the vacation, right? I keep that in mind. So I'm definitely thinking about it even for a month beforehand. But I think the best way to handle it is little chunks at a time. I don't look, unless it's planning for responding to a proposal or something like that. I'm not planning a month out. I'm thinking, at least not mentally, I'm thinking I need to I need to accomplish this week. I'll get through that. And every vacation or every weekend feels like a mini vacation because, again, during the weekends, I try my absolute best to shut it off, not respond to emails, not even look at them, and just focus on my family or doing things around the house. I think that helps me get through it.
And you're probably gonna ask yourself, how does she actually get anything done? I actually don't take meetings on Fridays. I don't take meetings on Fridays, so that's my day to catch up, do all my admin, clean up my email, plan for the next week, and really strategize. So I don't take meetings on Fridays because for me, that's my way to kind of bring myself down from the week and prepare for the weekend. So Monday through Thursday, I'm literally in meetings from 8 o'clock in the morning, so usually 6 o'clock at night, but Friday is the day that I, just really try to focus on getting myself ready. So I think I'm kind of like you, like I'm thinking about that week, and then I take my Friday, I look at what I got done that week. And I will also tell you, one thing that I've really started doing that has really been helpful to me, I'm a pen and paper person. I really try to be electronic, but it does not work for me. So writing it doesn't work. So I got a Rocketbook. Rocketbook changed my life. So Rocketbook is like pen and paper. You can scan it, it puts it into your Dropbox, it organizes your notes for you, it does all that stuff. It's really awesome. But it also, I have the Panda planner. And so it makes you actually think about your day each day. So when I get up in the morning, I think about what I'm going to do today. It asks you, like, what are you grateful for today? What are you going to do today that will make today a better day than yesterday was? And so it really makes me be thoughtful. And at the end of the week, it has like a weekly review. And then, so Friday is the day that I really take the time to think about, okay, what have I done this week? What have I accomplished? And it makes you celebrate. It makes you celebrate the small wins that you had that week, which for me could be hitting a revenue goal. It could be, okay, I got out 3 proposals. It could be a variety of things, but it really makes you celebrate. Because to Mark's point, no, I'm not on vacation every week, even though I want to be. So I use that Friday to really reflect on my week, really write down what I'm grateful for, celebrate my small wins, and really be focused and prepared for the next week. So that kind of keeps me going because the next thing you know,
Anyone have any? Okay. Mary Beth, I will go left to right.
With what you guys said, I really like the idea of vacation. I'm right there with you. However, when 10 years ago, because I'm one of the older young professionals, I didn't necessarily have the income to go travel to Mexico for 5 days and just F off for 5 days. And so for that, what would you say to the younger professionals who want self-care to like center themselves so you don't feel like you're on a rat race, so you don't feel like you're just constantly doing the same exact thing? What did you find maybe in the beginning of your career that was good to reset?
For me, it does. I don't necessarily have to be going someplace for vacation. And me personally, I've always enjoyed the outdoors, camping and things of that nature. My wife likes the beach. I'm not a huge beach person, but I go because that's what the family wants to do. So it's little things. You don't have to go to Cancun. You don't have to go to Aruba to reset, right? You can walk out in your backyard. You can take a hike. My family and I would like to do those things. Go kayaking, just take a walk through the park. Go see a movie. Anything when you're not thinking about what's the next business move? How do I strategize this? Anything that takes your thought away from that allows you to kind of regenerate yourself and kind of do a little internal healing. At least that's the way I feel.
yeah. I get massages, so I love to get a massage. So, that, 90 minutes of just, aromatherapy and a massage is really good. I like to spend time with my friends and make cocktails. The only outside I do is sitting on the deck drinking cocktails. Yeah, I mean, like a massage, spending some time with friends. And even during the pandemic, they had some really cool things like Pino's Palette had that you could go pick up the little kits and you could do the paint at home and watch a YouTube video. So there's like a lot of little fun things that you can do that don't cost a lot of money that kind of just get your mind off of, the everyday.
Kelsey, that's all for a second.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. Questions. What are you kind of most proud of in your career and how did you accomplish that? Sorry, that's a big question.
That is a big question. I think that I'm most proud of, I mean, just being honest, proving the haters wrong. So when I was in corporate, people used to tell me that I was intimidating. And so that was why I was not going to, make it past a certain point, which I never could understand why being intimidated was a me problem, because to me, that's not like a you problem. Particularly because you couldn't articulate to me what it was that I was doing that was making me intimidated. I remember my husband bought me this hat, and it was a Dale Earnhardt hat. And I was like, hey, Dale Earnhardt. But Dale Earnhardt was known as the intimidator, and the hat says the intimidator, which is why the tagline for my business is Unintimidated HR. So at the end of the day, for me, to be able to be successful and to be able to be successful in my business for the thing that in corporate was quite honestly used against me as a weapon, has made me, that is the thing that I am most proud of, that I can be successful for who I am, and I don't have to change who I am. And there are people who can absolutely appreciate it.
I think for me, the thing that I'm most proud of is just still being around as a company. I think a lot of companies start and fail relatively quickly, and particularly in the industry I am and I'm in. It's difficult to win work, get contracts. And I think the fact that we're still doing that is one of the things I'm very proud of. And I think the other thing is that what we market ourselves as, or we try to stand apart from other companies, is that we really focus on our employees. We want the people to be happy to come work for us. Typically, when you tell somebody you're a government contractor, they think that, oh, you're hopping from job to job every year or every 2 years. And that's not always the case. So we are really trying to build a company where people can come and spend the majority of their career because they know that we do care about them, right? And we have been able to be successful and still stick to those values. And I'm very proud of that because that's important to us.
So in reference to, I think this question will kind of encompass a lot of what we've already talked about, but as an entrepreneur, you recognize that you have to really be efficient with your time. And as we're talking about vacation time and trying to find that me time, plus being able to be your work done. I know for me, sometimes I have to remind myself it's 9 o'clock, we're not going to respond to that email, right? But I have to like say it out loud, like don't do that. Oh yes, okay. So my question to you is, how do you do both in reference to your efficiency in getting the work that you need to get done and matching being able to add those vacation times? Or is it just a hot mess? And that would be great because then that would build it up myself. Yeah, I think it's an important question for me anyway to learn how to do it.
Yeah, for me, I had to invest early on in my organization in having resources to help me. Because at the end of the day, I was a solopreneur for 2 years. I am a great practitioner, but it is very difficult to be a practitioner and a business owner. So I had to invest in bringing someone else in to support me. And even though, but I'm also a risk taker. So I knew it was a risk, and I knew, all right, I might not. And I told the person, I was very honest. I was like, yeah, I mean, I can afford to pay you like today and tomorrow, but after that, like, we'll see what happens, right? But I was able to find someone who was able to buy into the vision of the business and understood, like, yes, this is a risk and I want to help you with it. I think it's important to do that. It's almost impossible to carry the entire business on your shoulders and grow it at the same time and be good at it and not drop some balls. Because I did that. I had to turn away business. I dropped some balls. And then I got an executive coach that was like, well, you can do this forever and just be okay at being a business owner and a practitioner, or you can make an investment in bringing on someone else to support you, which I was afraid of. I was afraid to do that because what if they're not as awesome as me and they're out here representing Prescott HR? And this coach said to me, and this is what changed it for me. The coach said, when you think about Apple, who do you think about? And I was like, well, you always think about Steve Jobs. Look, Steve Jobs is dead. So if somebody else can represent Apple, somebody else can represent you. And so at that moment, I knew that I could do that and that I needed to do that. And it was a game changer for me.
And I completely agree with that sentiment. I think you need to understand you are going to have to share risk and share responsibility, but you also share reward. For us, it was, we knew early on, number one, I didn't start my company on my own. I knew if I had done that, that I would be a lot more stressed and it would be a lot more difficult to. So I have partners, so we can share those efforts. But we've also realized right at the beginning that we needed to outsource. I think you need to understand that you cannot be an expert at everything. Do what you do and do what your focus is, do it well. But the things, for example, in my industry, we need security reps, we need accountants, we need folks that help us with social media, right? I can't do all of those things. It's impossible. And because we're still small, I'm still billable. So I'm on contract 8 hours a day, and then I go home and I have to do things to generate business for Data Haven. I need to try to set up evening meetings or things like that. So being efficient is super important, and part of that is understanding I need to spend money to make money. You're going to have to outsource some of these things. But I also am like you, where I have 15 sticky notes all over the desk, besides what I have already had in my notes. So I just make sure when I'm on a Zoom call, I move those sticky notes to the side so whoever I'm talking to doesn't see it.
Okay. I forgot. Julia, and then you're next.
So my job is like 80% remote, and I always find myself having trouble when I go on vacation. Like, it's not like leaving your office for a week, it's just working somewhere else. And I'm so guilty of working on vacation. And my husband is too, so like he's doing it, so I do it too. So like, how do you work your way around that? Like, not like ignoring that, like you're in a new location, but you don't have to be working there. Just for like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard not being in the office 7 days a week and then going somewhere and does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think for me, there are some calls or emails I have to respond to, but I try to prioritize those. So only if it's like, oh, it has to be answered today, or something else is going to fall apart. Those are the only ones that I try to respond to. And again, I have business partners, so I can rely on them to pick that up, which is helpful to me. But I also do know, because I'm partially remote, so that transition is difficult because being on vacation is not much different. I mean, it is, but you're still not in the office, right? The surroundings are similar. It's not being in the office, so it's hard to distinguish between sometimes, well, I'm on vacation or I'm not supposed to be working today compared to when you're at home and working. Definitely. So that, I don't know if that really answers your question. I have a young child who, even so when I'm working remote or if I'm working on vacation, she's constantly coming in. You know, I could be on a call, she doesn't care. She comes in, can I have a snack? Yeah. Right? You know, like everybody else knows she wants a snack as well. And so they do blend very much so.
So, like to go off on Kimberly's thing, I actually use the hotel lock to put it in and not use it at all. I don't bring my laptop at all because I don't know if you can tell, I have two phones. One has my tower arm. So that's what I do when I go on vacation. And Chad's not a good example, obviously, but my wife is a great one that says, okay, we agreed, this is family time. She knows I check emails probably when he falls asleep, but that's fine. This is family time. Don't do anything else. Don't check anything else. Just enjoy this time. He's only so small and can be very kind to you for this amount of time. Because
I also give myself like maybe an hour on a Tuesday morning. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give myself 1 hour before I go down to the pool. I'm gonna check email and catch up on really important things. But as soon as that hour's up, I'm like, done.
Well, not a firm, but I'm also a firm believer in you teach people how to treat you. So if I set that boundary and I say, I'm not available, I'm not available. Again, I didn't go to medical school, nobody's going to die, like, I'm not available. And I set those boundaries, and I set those boundaries for our clients. So I might read the email, I might know the answer, I might type the email, but you're not gonna get it till Monday. Because I don't want you to think that you can talk to me on Sunday, because you can't. So I just really believe that you just have to ask yourself what's important and what are your boundaries. And if your boundary is, I don't want to be available, then don't be available. They'll be okay. And the more you do that, the more they'll start to understand and respect that, which is why I put on my email at least 3 weeks in advance, I'm not going to be available. And if I have these large things that I'm working on, the day before vacation, I use that time to follow up with them, but that's my boundary. I'm not available.
And then Jackie.
So, a timely follow-up then. We mentioned earlier that the workforce is kind of reassignment or realigning their values and finding kind of where they fit or value. As accomplished business owners and leaders in your companies, how do you ensure that the boundaries you set for yourself and the values you set for yourself, your employees also feel and share that? Within your company.
For me, I make sure it's one of the things we always, pitch potential new employees is being a small company, we're always available for them. It's not like, oh, well, you can send me an email and I'll try to get back to you. It's definitely a juggling act, but you have to be able to balance that personal time with being able to provide that, at least for my company. Anybody that we've hired, you have my cell phone number. If you have a question or a problem, give me a call. If you have a medical bill that you thought should have been covered, and you get a bill from a doctor, it's not, well, submitted a request to the HR department within the company, and one, rep will respond to you within 48 hours. Pick up the phone and give me a call, right? I'll call the benefits broker if I don't know the answer. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out what went wrong. And so I think that allows them to understand that we value them, but that's important. And that care, I think, is reciprocated, right? They understand, well, you know what? I know he's going to help me out, and I know he's there for me if I need him. But I also know it's 6 p.m. and he's probably having dinner with his family, so I'll bother him tomorrow. It's not an emergency.
Like for us, our team, we message each other all the time. So the team, we're always talking to each other. But for me, I'm business development now. I'm not billable, but I make sure when we're doing that handoff meeting between sales and operations that I'm very clear. As a matter of fact, I had a prospect yesterday, and he said, "Well, I have a lot of passion for what I do. So sometimes I have meetings on Sundays at 10 o'clock in the morning." I was like, "That's awesome. You should record them." Because we're not going to be there. I'm not going to ask someone, because at the end of the day, for us, my team, they're my employees, they're consultants, but they're my employees, but they do this work because they want the flexibility. So we set that expectation for our clients that, hey, we live by the 2 and 24 rule. You'll get a response within 2 hours, you'll get a resolution within 24 from Monday to Friday from 8 to 5, okay? Because at the end of the day, I don't want my consultants to feel like their clients have access to them all the time and they have to respond. And I encourage them, even if you see, unless it's something extremely critical, we do have some clients that have, 3 shifts and things like that. But if it's just your regular extra needy client, like, manage them. That's part of it more than anything else, just managing their expectations. So I think, yes, the team, we are available to each other all the time, but it's still very much like I make sure that our clients know what the expectation is and how to manage their expectations accordingly. Because at the end of the day, in order for us to be successful, our clients need to feel like we're filling their needs. And if their expectations that we're going to be available to them on Sunday at 10 o'clock, we might not be the best one for them.
Jackie.
So obviously, I feel like all of us have the goal of balance and efficiency growth moving forward. But inevitably, hopefully, this is just me, we have days that are more chaos than balance, mistakes, failures, dropping balls. You know, whether it's with our families, relationships, with work, with both, all. Instead of going to bed, dwelling on it, waking up, dwelling on it, what strategies do you have for responding to and moving forward from moments or days like that?
I realized and accept that's part of the journey. It's gonna happen. There's nobody that has owned or run a business or, you know, created a successful career that's gonna tell you that they haven't had those days. That's normal. You just need to be able to chalk that up as, okay, this is a bad day. But you need to be able to move forward and know that every day is not gonna be like this. We all make those mistakes. It's how you recover that I think is important.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I use my reflection time to think about the lessons that I learned and how am I going to use that as an opportunity to do something different. I also, it's probably too much, but I do meditation in the shower. And so I do meditation because it really does help me to not constantly focus on the mistakes that I make. I make mistakes every day. I make mistakes as a parent, as a wife, as a business owner. I make mistakes every single day, right? Like you said, it's how you recover, how do you learn your lessons. And so I usually take that time, my meditation time, to really just let that go. To let it go. Because if I constantly dwell on every mistake that I made, I would be stressed all the time. And another thing that I really try to make sure that I do is if I do make a mistake or I do something, if it feels heavy to me, I just go to the person and tell them, like, this feels heavy for me. I don't know how it felt for you, but this is how I feel, and I just want to clear the air. Whether it's a client, a prospect, someone on my team, a friend, I just clear the air. I don't like things on me. So I will just let it go.
And a lot of times people find that other people you're working with in a professional environment, they appreciate and respect the honesty. So made a mistake or, you know, I don't know if you have, but I've missed a meeting before where, because I'm still supporting on contract, I'm fixing things that are broken. And you look back and you're like, oh man, I had a meeting scheduled an hour ago. And so then I reached out to that individual and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I sincerely apologize. This is what happened, but this is on me. I made a mistake. 9 times out of 10, I think you're going to find people respect that.
Great. Yep.
Kimberly, you kind of mentioned two different points. One was making it known when you do and don't make yourself available, especially outside of work hours. But then earlier when you talked about, hey, these decisions are made far, you know, kind of those two pieces, you know, making yourself available, you know, to an extent, but how do you kind of find that balance of if you're the only one, whether, you know, your organization, you know, any partner programs, everyone else is responding to emails at 6, 7 o'clock at night, or something on Saturday, Sunday, and you were one other person, if they're not the ones doing it, how do you find that balance of, I want to be, you know, the best, you know, friend, sibling, parent I want to be, and respect that time that I have, but also everyone else in my organization is operating, you know, at this level, and I want to be successful, but how do I not cut that tie, but how do I, you know, make it known, make my downfall?
So I definitely understand that because even though I have boundaries for myself, I am extremely guilty of sending emails all day Sunday, right, to my team. Because I have like, my brain works in increments. So when my brain is turned on, I'm like, let me send all these emails, my brain's working. But I literally have told them all, you can see an email from me at 5 o'clock in the morning. I have zero expectation that you're going to respond to me. So I'm working because this is the time that works for me, but I don't expect it to work for you. So I think that if you say, you know, hey, if you feel that there's a perception, if you don't feel that there is no need to open that Pandora's box, and people go, well, yeah, she's not responding on Saturday. But if you feel that there's a perception, you know, you can just say, hey, you know, for me, this is when I'm optimum, this is how I operate. So hopefully you understand that, you know, you all are changing emails on the weekend, like, you know, I'm processing it, I'm thinking about it, but I actually am not going to respond till Monday. And just being honest about it and saying this is kind of where I am. And ultimately, as much as we all want to have it all, we can't. So if you have a boundary and you say, I'm not gonna do this, there might be some impact from that. But you have to say to yourself what's more important. And if you work with a team that respects you and and you're actually getting your job done, then it should not be as impactful. But ultimately, if we all have decisions to make. We try to be everything to everybody. If you're not gonna be great at that, or you can have the time that you want for yourself, and maybe there might be some things that that's a reality.
I think what you said is spot on, and I think you need to come to a realization that, you know, if you use the analogy that you're trying to run ahead of this rolling ball of tasks that need to be accomplished, you're never going to get ahead of that ball, ever. And when you get, if you're like, oh, well, you know what, if I work Saturday, I can knock these 4 things out that were on my schedule for Monday, and then Monday will be easier. It doesn't work that way. When you knock those 4 things out, another 4 things fall in place. So there's always going to be that work there. There's always going to be things that need to be done. You need to be able to step back and recognize that and say, there's always going to be the next task, but there's not always going to be, the next weekend, that your son or daughter wants you to push them on the swing or help them build a tree house.
Any last questions from the audience? Mine is what's the,
Sorry, just one last question.
go ahead.
So you both started your own businesses. I'd love to just kind of hear about the mental process of doing that and kind of how that decision came to play and kind of what were your checklist items of what you needed to accomplish to do that. Sorry,
Oh, well, mine is not sexy at all. I quit my job in a phone call, and I was like, oh, I just quit my job. It wasn't on purpose. I didn't wake up that morning planning to quit my job. Initially it was, let me just kind of do some part-time HR stuff. Because what I had already come to the conclusion that I didn't want to be in work anymore. That I didn't want to work the way that I had been working, but I didn't plan to just quit my job. So I started just kind of doing some part-time HR stuff, and that worked out for a couple of years. And then I, had the conversation with my coach, and then I realized that if I wanted to grow, if I wanted to just not always have to kill what I eat, because that's what I was doing. If I didn't always want to have to do that, then I had to look at this as an actual business. So I didn't have a business plan. I literally had a graphic from Vistaprint and went on GoDaddy and got a website and went to LegalZoom, was like, okay, can I get some contracts for some people? It was a hot mess. I'm not gonna lie. I think the only thing that really held it together is that I actually really was good at HR, because all the other stuff was really not awesome about the whole business thing. The business came after. So mine, it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't on purpose.
So mine was the complete opposite. I was very strategized about it. I thought about it a lot. I have always been the kind of person that if I don't know, I ask questions of people that I trust. Because nobody knows everything. You have to learn somehow. If those folks learn going through it, or by asking someone else. So I was very strategized with that. I was a little more padded than I think a lot of folks were because of the industry that I'm in. I know that I would always have a job. So if things didn't work out with starting my own company, I knew I'm still marketable. But all of those things kind of, and I had lots of conversations with my family because they needed to feel secure as well, knowing that this decision, yes, while there's risk involved, it's not as risky as other industries or as other decisions, right? We know that I can still fall back on something else. I think those were very important things. And so getting everything lined up where I knew that I could easily transition. And I planned way in advance, right? I was telling people, look, this is what I want to do. I want to start my own thing. Just FYI, I'm going to be doing this in the future. As I was moving forward and getting all the pieces. So when I did finally say, hey, look, thank you for your time and for everything I've learned here. Here's my 2 weeks notice. I will be starting my own company. I had a lot of those things lined up. I knew there was a contract there. I knew that I was going to be transitioning into something else, so there would be no lapse and payments and things of that nature.
I think also to your point though, I mean, preparation is always best. If I could have prepared, I would have definitely been in a better place. It wouldn't have taken me as long. But I think because I had to go overhead when I started my business. I mean, all I needed was a laptop, and my brain. That was all I needed. So it wasn't like I needed equipment. I didn't need contracts. I had a couple of part-time things, that I was doing, and I was like, I'll just piece this together. So, you definitely do have to think about, is there overhead? What am I going to need in order to make that happen? So you don't do it the way I did.
And for me, it's also, sorry, one last thing that I've realized is we live in a time where pretty much anything that you have a skill set doing is marketable. Like there are ways to grow a business based upon something you're good at. So there are lots of opportunities. If what you're good at is, talking to your friends on social media. Well, guess what? People need social media consultants, right? Because I don't like social media personally, but I don't have the time to go on there and write up, something witty about ourselves and make sure the customer is being supported at the same time and meet with this person who wants to talk about new business. I can't do that. So I hire somebody that's good at that.
Let's give a round of applause for DJ and Kimberly. Yes, I really do appreciate you. Audience, thank you for your coming here as well. I know it takes a lot of your day, and I'm truly grateful. Obviously, to promote upcoming events, next month we have another Celerate program with financial wellness to take care of your finances, build your life, and plan for your future and your retirement. The Mixer, Hudson Coastal, may the 4th be with you. We're gonna have a mixer right there at the lovely Hudson Coastal in Maple Lawn. So please come out to that as well. Leonardo mentioned the Ypn Summit. I am leading that along with some of the teams here. We are very excited for it. It will be in September 20th. 20th. Thank you. And we are very excited because we just booked our keynote, and you'll see teasers coming out soon. I'll give you a hint. It's the Maryland flag. So I just wanted to let you know, look out for that. So without further ado, sponsor.
Sponsor slide.
Do you have this?
If you just click on the PowerPoint.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you to our YPM mixers, Temple Jones, Howard Hughes, Long and Foster, Real Estate, Christie's, and International Real Estate. Celerate is obviously my company, Tower Federal Credit Union. And here are the upcoming events. If you want to go to French Riviera, Ask the Business. Oh, Spring Fling, excuse me. Wow, that one's going to be fun too. April 6th, come out to Elkridge Furnace. That was supposed to be the Jingle Mingle, which became something else, and now it's the Spring Fling. So love to see you guys there. If you have any questions about the committees, the board of directors, you can ask anyone of our board. Let us know if you have any other things, but thank you so much. Have a great day.